Good morning, everybody. I think I will start. We have reached about 40 participants. Let me welcome you very warmly on behalf of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. This is the final online event within a United Nations Development Account project on improved environmental monitoring and assessment. And we are very fortunate today to be able to discuss an important and increasingly topical and a subject of circular economy. This is a tool which we can use to move towards sustainable development, which is receiving increasing attention. But of course, just as the topic is receiving attention, we also need to be able to respond in terms of being able to measure and monitor a circular economy. So we're, as I say, very fortunate. We have an event which has been organized by our consultant, Gustavo Longare-Moraga, assisted by Ksenia Nechunaeva. And I think you will enjoy this day. I think it will be very interesting. So I would just like to hand over now to Gustavo to provide an introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. So my name is Gustavo. Today, together with Ksenia Nechunaeva, I will help to facilitate the conference. UNECE, we invited this conference having three axes important to the circular economy that we think may help the target countries to achieve the transition in circular economy, being science, policy, and statistics. I will just give a small structure of how the conference will work and give some also brief housekeeping information. This conference will have speeches in each of these three axes. For this, we organize the conference in 4 blocks. The first 3 blocks are related to the axis, and then last block, which will bring them all together and give concluding remarks. After each block, we will have breaks, being either 5 minutes comfort break or the lunch break. Each presentation will have about 15 minutes, followed by 10 minutes Q&A sections. Participants are more than welcome to ask questions via chat or live. So 2 brief housekeeping information. The first one, the conference will be transmitted in English and Russian. So on the platform, on Kudu platform, on the bottom left side of the screen, you can select the language. So please select the language of your preference. And second, as I said before, all participants are more than welcome to do questions at the end of each presentation. You can ask questions via chat, clicking on the messaging button on the top right side of the Kudu platform. Or also live. To speak, you must click on request to speak button on the right side, on the bottom right side, and activate your camera and mic once you are cleared. Now, I would like to call the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe to open the conference with the presentation from Nicholas Bonvoisin and Ksenia also. Okay.
Thank you very much. So could you put up the presentation, please, Ksenia?
Yes. Okay. Do you see full?
Yes, I do. So thank you very much. So I would just like to give a little bit of an introduction about where this event sits within our project, which is on improved environmental monitoring and assessment in support of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in fact, 7 target countries across Southeastern Europe, Central Asia and the Caucasus. This is being implemented jointly with UNEP, and we are also working very closely with the Environment Agency of Austria, supported also by the European Environment Agency and UN country teams. So it actually started back in 2018, but it has suffered some delays over the past couple of years, as you can imagine. The target countries, as you can see here, Armenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, North Macedonia, and Tajikistan. And I must say it's been a pleasure working with the focal points in these countries. They have been very responsive and engaged in the project. The main objectives are to strengthen capacities of environmental authorities and statistical agencies to collect and produce data in accordance with the shared environmental information system. So that's necessarily means also improving accessibility and use of regularly updated and high quality environmental indicators within the framework of the shared environmental information system. So the shared environmental information system is a collection of principles about things like accessibility and use of environmental information. The aim is also that countries should be able to better respond to international indicator-based reporting obligations, including monitoring progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And finally, to strengthen capacities in producing environment and health-related indicators and their use for decision-making on environment and health topics. Next slide, please. So, as you can imagine, the project had to be amended due to the impact of the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And one way was to actually, in a positive sense, to strengthen the environment and health aspects of the project during the capacity development activities. We switched from 7 national training sessions to 5 regional webinars, which I will mention in a moment. Again, we can maybe see some positive aspects from that because we were able to have a much broader audience for those regional webinars. And then there was the addition of some e-learning materials, which is not quite ready yet, but we're almost done with that as well. And a knowledge sharing platform about the shared environmental information system and sustainable development goal indicators. Thank you. So where are we now with the project? Early on, there were 7 gap analysis reviews on the establishment of the shared environmental information system and looking at the availability of environmental data and information. There were also produced early on national work plans or roadmaps to support that, how to deal with those gaps which were identified. That has been a bit disrupted by COVID because, of course, the idea was to follow up with national workshops, and that has not been possible. We had an initial regional capacity development workshop 2 years ago, and we have been working with UNEP on their guidance on waste indicators to make sure that that is available both in English, the original language, and in Russian as well. And finally, presentations on data needs, statistics, and indicators on environment and health in response to COVID-19. There were a couple presentations to the Joint Task Force 2-3 weeks ago. Firstly, on sharing and use of environmental data and indicators for environment and health assessments in the target countries by Dafina Dalbakova. And secondly, on environmental indicators affected by COVID-19 or the response to COVID-19 in the target countries by Elena Bahadzias. So they are still going to produce final reports, and those will be published, and we will make sure that all of these materials are made available to our network. Next slide. I mentioned these 5 webinars. I think they were good. Certainly we had some very good speakers and we had good participation, 60 to 70 participants in each of these webinars. So I think they appealed to the audience that we wanted them to appeal to. They were run over a period of 6 months, covering air quality data for informing policy and the public in relation to health and, of course, COVID-19. Then on energy use, clean, renewable, and efficient energy. Then on waste management, which, of course, links a little bit with today's event. Then on freshwater management indicators and policies. And finally, on biodiversity restoration policies. And this biodiversity has been quite a strong theme in the project, and Ksenia will mention that in a moment. Over to you, Ksenia.
Thank you, Nick. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ksenia Nechunaeva. I'm UNECE Environment Consultant. So I will continue with the ongoing activities under the UNGA project. So one of these activities is the development of a self-paced online course based on the webinar materials. This course is targets both government officials and the interested public, which is based on all the materials which have been elaborated during the series of webinars that Nick just mentioned right now. And as you can see, the e-learning course will cover 5 topics: air, energy, waste, freshwater, biodiversity. And it will include also 4 didactic stages: data and me, presentation and me, meaning and me, policy and me. So it will include 20 questions, and each question will include 4 possible answers. But there will be no wrong answer. Instead, each answer will include 3 pros and cons of such answer. So the next ongoing activity is the development of the regional knowledge sharing platform. The objective of the knowledge sharing platform is to enable an easy access to the relevant content, which has been elaborated during the series of the capacity development webinars. And as you can see on the screen, the knowledge sharing platform will be built around 6 SDG relevant themes: air, energy, waste, circular economy, freshwater, biodiversity. And for instance, by clicking on air topic, it will bring you to another web page with introduction and different subcategories. For instance, for air, it's going to be air quality monitoring and data management, etc. So we plan to release both e-learning course and the knowledge sharing platform by the end of this year. So after, there are other activities which are being implemented in the framework of the UNGA project. It's 4 policy briefs on specific environment and health issues. So these 4 policy briefs will cover such topics as air quality and energy, water, waste, biodiversity. Also, we are developing guidelines on human and institutional capacity needs and lessons learned on producing, sharing, and using environmental data. Also, today's conference on circular economy is also a part of UNGA project, and all the input produced during our today's conference will be included in our knowledge sharing platform. After, there is a tremendous work being carried out in the revision of UNECE environmental indicators. For instance, there is a revision of UNECE entire list of environmental indicators, including also the update of the indicator methodologies and also descriptions. There is also revision of biodiversity and ecosystem environmental indicators. It also includes the update of indicator methodologies and descriptions. We are also developing the training materials on the production and use of the revised environmental UNECE environmental indicators, which is going to be also released by the end of this year. There is also development of training materials on revised biodiversity and ecosystem UNECE environmental indicators and guidelines. Finally, last but not least, there is also the revision of the guidelines for developing national strategies to use biodiversity monitoring. This activity is also almost near completion. So thank you a lot for your attention.
If I may, just before Gustavo continues with the main event, you mentioned about the indicators, and on the indicator work, I would really like to underline the importance of, well, it is led not by the UNECE Environment Division, but the Statistics Division, and strongly supported by the European Environment Agency and our colleagues in the United Nations Statistical Division as well. So I just want to make sure that that is recognized. Thank you. Back to you, Gustavo.
Thank you, Nick and Ksenia.